right, guys, welcome to a new episode of the Type 1 Lifting Podcast. I have a very exciting guest. She is the face of the Morning Chalk Up. You ever see the YouTube channel? Boom, her face is like right in the middle of the screen. So her name is Lauren Kalil. How you doing?
What an introduction. Thank
I,
you. I'm so excited. It's great to be here.
I'm trying to I try to jazz it up a little bit because everyone's just like they just do the same thing over and over again. I kind of want to mix it up with everyone else. That's the new thing I want to do this year.
I like it. It's a more personal little introduction. I felt it. It was great.
Yeah, awesome. So have you non-CrossFit question. So have you finished your Christmas shopping? Are you all done?
Yes, it's so funny. I coach at my gym, and every day for the last 10 days, I've been reminding my members that, okay, you have until December 22nd to order on Amazon Prime and get it by Christmas morning. So I think we got, at the time of the recording, we got 2 more days, but luckily I've done all of my shopping. I only need to do a couple things in person, but most things I was able to just do online.
And is it kind of tough for tough for people to shop for you because you can pretty much like obviously like as an adult you can get anything you want pretty much already. So it's like, do you like are you a hard person to get for?
I would say I'm easy in the sense that there's so many things that I like that you
Hmm.
can't really go wrong. But I'm kind of at the point in my life that unless it's something super like extravagant, if I want something, I'll probably just buy it. So by the time Christmas rolls around and, friends and family
Hmm.
are like, "Hey, what do you want?" And I'm just like, I don't know. I kind of have everything that I want. I mean, I'm somebody who doesn't hate a gift card. If you
Oh
give
no,
me a
me
gift
neither. Me
card,
neither.
I
Yeah.
will love that. I think gift cards get such a bad rap and I hate it because I love a good gift card.
Yeah. I mean, I could just be like, oh, I'll just like randomly get like something like for like $5 and just use the gift card. And it's like, all right,
Right.
it's easy. Like that's perfectly fine. Yeah, I have no issues with gift cards. My coworker, I work for a medical recruiting company, and I work and like so my supervisor, he always gives me like a $200 gift card, and I'm like, "Pfft, okay.
There
I'm
you
like,
go.
I'll take that. I'm like, you're easy, and like all you want is a bottle of bourbon. So I'm like, it's kind of a equal trade off.
Okay, so you have two kids. What were the big items on the list that they wanted for Christmas this year?
Oh God. So my wife likes to go overboard with the presents. So she got them. I think she got my son Bennett a basketball hoop because he's getting into basketball.
Oh
Like
yeah.
he just started he just started this year playing basketball, and so they have like the 8 foot hoops. Like they drop the hoop just so they could shoot and score because they don't have the muscle capacity to like kind of heave it over.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he got that, and he's got like he's never really watched wrestling, but he was like so into this like wrestling ring, like the AEW like wrestling ring when they could like jump off the top ropes and like fly. I'm like, okay. So,
Oh, wow.
and and then my daughter is all about these stuffed animals. They call them mixies. I'm telling you, like
What's
80s.
that?
So they're in a cauldron, like a little cauldron. So you put water and all this like powder and stuff like that, and it starts smoking, and then it like flips over, and then the stuffed animal pops out.
Wait. What? I feel like after this, I'm gonna be on the internet
Yeah.
looking these things up. So you put it in water, but then it turns into a stuffed animal?
No. So there's like a little plate in the cauldron that like that holds the water in plate that holds the water like so it won't like fall into the to like onto the stuffed animal or anything like that. And so you keep
Oh.
it in this like little like bowl slash like plate, put all the stuff in, mix it, get like a magic wand and just tap it, and then like all of a sudden like whoof, it just like flips over.
Magic.
Yeah, and then it's like battery operated too. So like you push a button and it makes these like weird noises and stuff, and it's like super dangerous because for me the tail is like just straight metal with like fur around it because like it's like one of those
Oh.
bending tails, and I'm like, God, someone's gonna poke their eyes out. I know it.
The most dangerous stuffed animal on the market.
Yeah, you ever see those commercials? You ever seen those like on like the Today Show, like the most dangerous toys out for
Oh
this year,
yeah.
Christmas? Yeah, it's almost.
Yeah.
I feel like that the Mixies are that. So, but that's just my personal opinion.
Well, they're gonna have a happy Christmas, hopefully a safe one.
Oh, they're gonna kill it because like everybody is all these kids are all about Mixies. It's insane. So
It's all the
like they have,
rave.
yeah, they have cartoons and all that stuff, and she's like just laser focused, like on her screen, like Mixies, and like just I'm like, okay, all right, you don't want to watch anything else? Nope, Mixies. Okay, all right, that's fine.
There it is. Whatever makes him happy, right?
Yeah, pretty much. And I think, is there anything else big? No, I think that's pretty much it. So, and I don't really ask for much. I just want a new computer screen because my son broke it. So, the
Oh
computer monitor,
no.
yeah, he did it like a couple months ago. I like literally lost it. Yeah, because pretty much my desk was originally up in the toy room, and now I
Mhm.
moved it to the basement for that reason. So he was like playing around on the chair, hit the chair on the desk, and all of a sudden the monitor fell forward and then just like shattered. And I'm like, okay,
So
all
are
right.
you looking at a shattered monitor right now?
No, no, no. So I bought like a portable monitor. So when I go on vacation or something like that, and I have to work from on vacation, I have this like little portable one that I actually have all the notes on and everything over there.
Ah,
And
okay.
so, but I want like a big monitor because like I'm just starting to do like YouTube videos, like vlogs kind of, and,
Yep.
and and so I'm like, I need like a bigger timeline so I actually know like where I'm seeing compared to this like 13-inch like monitor on my
Yeah,
Apple, and
yeah.
it's just like you're like scrolling over, you're trying to like, okay, where am I at right now? And so
Yeah,
yeah, it's
it's crazy when I'm home. I have like the two monitors that I work with the dual screens, but
mhm,
then when I travel, which is it has been very frequently, all I have is the one monitor and it's like there's just not enough space for the amount of tabs I have open right now.
yeah. I'll send you the link for the portable one that I have. Like
Oh,
literally,
perfect.
literally, you could fold it up and then put it in your computer case, and it fits perfect.
Oh, no way. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think I've seen those before.
Oh, they're money, absolute money. I love it. So, but anyways, but you say you coach, so you're up in Syracuse. So, um, what made you get into CrossFit?
My dad, he was the one that drank the Kool-Aid first. And he was looking all fit with his six pack on the beach one summer. And I was looking less than fit. And I was like, I'm going to do what my dad's doing because he seems to love it and he's super competitive with it. So after that family vacation, I signed up for what was it called? I think On Ramp at the time.
Hmm.
It was maybe like 2 weeks of tutorials and getting to know a bunch of the movements. And ever since then, I've just loved it. It finally gave me like that competitive thing to do after college.
Yeah. I've noticed that with people that like graduate college, that like they need that competitive edge. Like I was a college athlete too, so like I needed something like after, and so that's how I started CrossFit. But funny thing was, is I was in the Air Force, and that's how they had a CrossFit gym on the base, and so I was
Did
like,
you ever do it then?
oh yeah, I did it on the base, and so
Oh, cool.
they're like, you typically need to do an on ramp program, but they were like looking at me, they're like, yeah, I think you're fine. I totally skipped the on
You
ramp
get a
pro.
free pass.
Yeah, so I totally missed like the 2 week like on ramp program. Didn't have to deal with that, and just kind of like went with it. They're like, okay, you just kind of I'll show you the ropes and all that stuff. And so that's pretty much how I learned, pretty much on the fly in YouTube channels.
It's crazy that literally everything is on the internet. Even
Hmm.
to this day, if there's something that I'm doing at the gym and I see it written in my programming, and I'm like, oh, that's like worded different, or maybe it's a new movement for whatever reason, there's always a YouTube link. It's
Of
amazing
course.
what's on the internet.
Yeah, it's insane. So what was the thing that like kind of made you stick with it? Because like obviously like you might be suffering like the first like week and stuff like that. So like what was the one thing that kind of made you think, okay, like I can keep doing this for like a long period of time?
I was so bad. That's what got me to stick around. I was so bad. And quite honestly, I will never forget how bad I was at pull ups. I had no pulling strength. Like it was not even existent. My
Hmm.
background was in competitive dance. So I always had like good, strong, muscular legs. And I had a lot of lower body strength, but the upper body strength, it just was not there.
Hmm.
So when I was watching these other athletes in my affiliate doing pull ups and push ups and handstand push ups and walking on their hands and all of these movements, I was just like, okay, I have so many things that I want to do. I'll probably never leave. Like, there's not enough. time in my life to get all of these skills. And
Yeah.
it was just really like the want to be better and really push to see what my athletic capabilities are into my 20s and now 30s.
hmm Now, do you every year do you have like a kind of like the new year, like, okay, I want to work on like this thing, or do you have like a special time frame that you kind of want to get like certain things?
Yeah, I would say like after the CrossFit Games season, which is very short for me.
hmm
I make it through the open and then I make it through quarterfinals, but then quarterfinals is really the end game for me. I'm not good enough to advance past that.
hmm
Nor do I have the time to train the way that these athletes are who make it to semifinals. But I would say that after each like competitive year for myself, I look at what I have grown on through the past year and I try to see, okay, what have we really succeeded at this past calendar year? Are any of those skills something that I still want to keep working on, or
hmm
are there other skills that I also want to drive up? I love the weightlifting part of CrossFit. That for me, that's the most fun.
hmm
Is seeing your numbers go up, it just getting stronger. But there's also something about like getting done with a workout and like feeling like hot garbage, but also like,
Yeah.
but also knowing that, wow, I feel like less hot garbage because my engine feels so good this year.
hmm Yeah, totally, totally agree. I think every like average CrossFitter is all about the weightlifting. They love that kind of stuff because they want to see like the big numbers, like you said before, like the big
Yeah.
lifts, and they like, even like a 1 pound PR is still like a huge feat for some people.
For sure. The other day I hit 5 pounds under my 1 RM snatch and I was celebrating because I was like, oh my God, I've only hit that number like once, maybe twice in my life. And I
hmm
just hit it on a random Tuesday
Yeah.
after like coming back from all of like traveling and sleeping all over the place. So I was like, wow, that was pretty cool. Like that felt like a great training day for me.
Yeah, it's amazing like how you can feel like, when you wake up, like, because I'm an early morning person, like I work out at 5 a.m. And so
Oh, wow, that is
yeah,
early.
dedication, that because that's all I can do, because like I can't
Yeah,
do it in the
got to fit
afternoons
it
because
in.
of the kids, and then like it's just, yeah,
Mhm.
this is the only time I can do it anyway. But like you don't feel like you're gonna be lifting really good, and then all of a sudden you're like, all right, let me just try it, and then you hit it, you're like, holy, did I really hit this? Like, this is insane.
Right.
It's crazy like how your body reacts to like, amping yourself up just to get that lift.
When the stars align, there's honestly no better feeling.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that was me today. So I follow the Misfit program, and so they had us do like a snatch complex. So like the first 3 minutes you do, from the hips snatch, below the knee
Mhm.
snatch, and a full one snatch, and then after that you go above the knee for the next 3 rounds, and then the next 3 rounds after that you go below the knee. And so I was like, okay, I feel okay, but I'm like, let's screw it, just do it. And so I tried 230 for like a hang snatch below the knee, and I hit it, and I was just like,
Oh yeah, let's go.
I caught it, I stood it up, and then I dropped it, and then like I literally like I just posted on Instagram like just recently, and I literally looked down, and I'm like this is insane.
I
Like,
just did that.
how is this possible? So yeah, it's insane like what you could do, like even if you feel like hot garbage sometimes.
Right. It's amazing what the body can do. And then like on the other end of the spectrum, how you could be feeling great, 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 great. And then one
hmm
day you're just like, I'm not hitting anything even close to my percentages. So it's fun to watch how it can really go both ways.
Yeah. So you're the coach at your box. So what kind of made you get your L1 to coach at your gym?
It's funny because my parents were always surprised that I didn't get it sooner. And I would say that it it's kind of weird how life leads you in the
hmm
path without you knowing it's leading you in the path, if that makes sense.
hmm
Um, I think subconsciously I always knew that I wanted to be a coach. Even growing up, my mom owns a dance studio. I was a competitive dancer. I would, coach for her all the time. When I moved around, when I worked in local television, I also found dance studios that I would help coach at. So there was always that like passion for inspiring and teaching and having this like outlet to express myself
Mm-hmm.
in a teaching role. But it wasn't until how long have I been coaching now? Maybe 2 years when I finally got my L1. And it was after I left the TV biz that I finally was like, you know what? This is a great opportunity to just go do it now.
Mm-hmm.
Whether I use it and actually coach at my affiliate or if I just do it for myself, it was just something that I really wanted to do. And I mean, I think anybody in the space should go get their L1 because that weekend is just a really cool opportunity. And you're in this really interesting environment with these like-minded people that all have a passion for just learning more about CrossFit. And the
Mm-hmm.
seminar staff, they're so well educated, and just the way they move, it really is like they were picked perfectly for that position because you're looking at them and you're like, dang, how is their mobility like that? And then you go to do the same movement and you're like, oh yeah, I don't look like the instructor today.
Yeah, you hear like your bones, like joints creaking and stuff like that. You're like,
Right.
like, oh gosh, like forgot to lube
Does
it up
anybody
today.
have more fish oil?
Yeah, pretty much. So, I always talk to like all the coaches that coach CrossFit. So, obviously, like every other one has like a different style of coaching. So, what's your style of coaching?
Oh, my style of coaching, I like to be super hands-on.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that I try to make my language as most tangible as possible because I try to think of when I was in my first
Yep.
week of CrossFit. And that's kind of how I coach across the board. I know a couple people who are like a little bit more competitive and can maybe use an extra cue that I wouldn't give the entire class. But
Mm-hmm.
if anything, I try to keep things super basic and just talk to the members as if they were trying to talk to me and coach me. Sometimes I need the same exact cue, but in a different analogy or maybe just different language. And I try to find what works for each person. Um, and I mean, I coach the 8:15 class and we have, I mean, it's truly the best hour of my day. And I hope
Mm-hmm.
that the members feel that way too, because between what we learn as athletes in the class, but also what we learn about each other. I feel like these people are honestly my extended family. The relationships I've been able to build in this class are ones that like I get excited in the morning to go and see the class
That's
and
awesome.
coach the class
Yeah.
and help them achieve these goals. So it's a really cool environment to be in.
Yeah. So what are like maybe two cues that you use that kind of like that like you have that you tell them like to like, oh, okay, now I understand it.
Okay, let me think of one. Well, so I also do our foundations. So anybody that's new to CrossFit, I have them come in. Um, and one that was just always super tangible to me is when I was learning the two Olympic lifts, the snatch and the clean. I always got confused on the hand placement. I'm like, this one is like weird and it's like wide and I don't know why our hands are like this.
Hmm.
And then the other one is like close. So the one that I use for clean, close grip, the letter C. So I try to think of like things like that that relate to know where to put your hands.
Yep.
Um when I'm teaching like hip drills on how to use like the hip explosion, I'll give them like the PVC pipe and I'll just have them lean forward. I'm like, okay, now make the PVC pipe fly across the room. And then everybody's hips come forward and we try to see like whose PVC pipe can go the furthest, like who has the biggest hip explosion. So just little like cheeky fun things like that makes sense in my mind because
Yeah.
I know that sometimes I'm not the easiest person to coach because
Mhm.
sometimes things just don't make sense to me unless I can like relate it with real life scenarios.
Yeah, I one of the things I like to use, like especially when they do like it's like an overhead press, pretty much. So
Hmm.
I always say, just think of a pigeon. So every time they walk, their head goes back and forth, back and forth. So the bar's on your shoulders, your head's back, and then when it's up in the air,
Oh, I
you put your
like
head through.
that.
So that's I always like I always yell like when this is when I was personal training too. I always yell like pigeon,
Hmm.
and then like people were like, oh, okay, so head back and forth, head back,
Now
and
they
then
get it.
and then the other one is like Miley Cyrus. So like let's just say if they're doing like a Romanian deadlift or like something like that. Like I say Miley Cyrus, so like you know how she twerks, just keep your ass back,
Oh,
and the
yeah,
whole
that's a good
it's
one.
so I was like do that, and then like another one is like King Kong. So when they deadlift, pretty much like keep their chest up because like King Kong gets pissed off, he
Yeah,
keeps his
yeah,
chest
yeah,
up.
yeah.
So that's like those are some of the cues I used to use like all the time with my clients. They loved it. So and they always remember it too.
Right, because they're fun.
Hmm.
And people will remember humor and things that are fun like that.
Yeah, exactly. So I was doing a little research on you. I actually looked at your LinkedIn profile.
Oh
So
no, does that still exist?
yes, it does actually. So I saw noticed that you were a sideline reporter in Connecticut, and then you did some like smaller I don't know if you call it like smaller like news channels, like local news in
Yeah.
like Illinois, Wisconsin, and then now we're prior in Syracuse. So what kind of made you get into that field?
So I went to school for sports broadcasting. So in my heart, I always knew that I wanted to do sports, and I had some like incredible opportunities in college to do stuff where I was sideline reporting for hockey and basketball and football and doing all of these interviews and really trying to build my portfolio. Then graduation happened. I applied for several jobs, and about only four of the 200 jobs I applied for were in sports. There just weren't really any openings.
Hmm.
So my advisors had advised me to, hey, just apply for news jobs as well. Like that can get your foot in the local affiliate, and you can try to help out the sports department. Maybe a position opens up, and that's a great segue to already be at the station,
Hmm.
and maybe they'll, change courses for you. That never really happened. I helped shoot like Friday night football for high school at a couple of my first jobs, and I would help the sports departments where I saw fit, where whatever would really help them. But there just was never really a segue to be a full time sports reporter.
Hmm.
Honestly, it worked out better because I think what a lot of people don't know is that at these really small TV stations, yes, you're covering football and basketball and hockey and all of the fun sports, but you're also covering the, I don't want to say lesser sports, but maybe the less popular sports, or maybe the sports that you're not necessarily interested about.
Hmm.
And you have to know just as much about those sports as you do about the popular ones. And I knew that I did not have the passion in me to learn about these other sports. So I think it all worked out. And I truly did love news. What I loved about it was being able to tell community stories and like small business owner stories. Like if
Hmm.
a new local restaurant pops up, I would love to go and feature the owners and what is their story and what inspires them, and talk to some of the customers and do stories like that. But the further along my career got, the less opportunity there was to really tell those stories, is what I was realizing. That the better job market I made it to, the harder hitting news you were expected to tell. And for a little bit, I thought maybe that's what I wanted, that
Hmm.
I wanted to be a hard hitting journalist and, you know, sit in the round table debates before the elections. Then you work one presidential election and you either realize you love it or you hate it. And I realized very quickly that I hated it.
Yeah.
There was nothing in my heart and soul that wanted to talk to politicians or talk to people waiting outside to vote and listening to them, stand on their the top of the ladder and talk about why they're voting for X. And it for me, it just wasn't genuine anymore.
Hmm.
It wasn't coming from my soul. Um, and eventually the cons weighed out the pros for me.
Yeah. And
So
I don't know how those people can like talk about politics like all the time. Like I would go bananas. Like when we were watching like YouTube videos and stuff like that, like
yeah.
especially in Georgia, like the Raphael Warnocks and Herschel Walker ones came out, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just like, oh my God, this like I had to press mute because I don't want my kids to hear it. And it was just like
Right.
all the time. It was just like nonstop. You're like, just give me a day. Just give me a day during the like just I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. It's and it's like so hard. And it's just like I don't know how these talking heads like just talk about politics like, all the time. It's just like I don't know how they'd probably be drinking every night.
Oh, they have to be. And the problem with it is that I got into journalism and I wanted to be fair and balanced.
Hmm.
I didn't want anybody to ever know my opinion. I thought even telling my parents who I voted for in the election was like against my moral compass. Like you are a
Yeah.
journalist, nobody can know, nobody can ever find out. And it was so weird because it was like all of a sudden everybody in the newsroom is talking about who they're voting for. And I remember like sitting at my desk just thinking, this is like, I thought that as journalists, we don't talk about this. Like, we're not supposed to. We're supposed to
Hmm.
be neutral. And it was just like, even if I did love it, which I didn't, I felt like the one part of me that wanted to be this like neutral journalist, there just wasn't really a space for it anymore.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
that
I can see
felt
that.
really sad.
Yeah. So was that the thing that kind of broke the camel's back that you didn't want to do it anymore or
I mean, it was between like having to report on politics was just of no interest to me. It was in the middle of the pandemic, so you can imagine how many um just like sad, depressing stories. Like every day was depressing, if I'm being completely honest. I remember
Mhm.
one day I left work after interviewing a mother whose 11-month-old baby was shot and killed.
Oh.
And then I'm going to the gym and trying to start my workout and I'm like I don't even know how to like leave this. I don't know how to like get this really sad, heart-wrenching interview out of my head. So it was just my life wasn't really happy.
Mhm.
Like I was trying to be passionate about my job, but it was just there was too many things that outweighed the good that I could give to my craft.
Yeah. That was kind of like me because like I spent 12 years in the medical field and like it was all emergency room based. So
Oh
like
my gosh, yeah.
I when I was living in Massachusetts, I worked in Boston, their ER. I was there during the Boston Marathon bombing, like working
Oh
there.
my
And
God.
so then
Oh, I
when we
just got
moved
chills.
and so like we had like think it was like 30 or like 50 people that came in at once and like obviously it was just like a nightmare and but like whatever like you kind of deal with it and like me being in the military I was like 7 years Air Force in the medical field with that and then kind of seeing all these like coming off the plane like IED explosion like people that get like their
Hmm.
limbs blown off and stuff and then the one thing that kind of broke me was working at the Children's Hospital in Atlanta so you would see like and like how I kind of got away with it is like not thinking about these people that passed away, especially the adults. Is one of the guys at the gym is like, hey, you might want to consider these people as an arcade game, like not real.
Wow.
Because like if you're really thinking of like if you're really seeing these people and like just thinking about them like later on, just think of it as an arcade. Like it's just like you're playing a game, they pass on, and that's it. And then the one thing that broke that one thing that was like getting a little too stressful was like with the kids. So I would
Yeah.
see like like 3 months old getting smothered to death, and assaults, like abuse, like all this
Mhm.
stuff, like traumas, like you know parents that don't have car seats, and so they put their like 2-year-old in a normal seatbelt and they just like fly all over the place in a
Oh.
car. Like like I used to tell my wife like all the stories that I've actually seen and like witnessed, and she's like, "There's no
Mhm.
way, no way," and I'm like, "No, this is legit." And so it's like it kind of gets stressful, and like you still see people like people's faces of when you do CPR on them, or especially with the kids
Mhm.
too, but like and like kids that like dying of cancer, and it's just like, how is this fair, And so
Right.
that was kind of like a little bit too much, and plus like I was working every other weekend too, and like it was just not working it with the family. So that was another reason too. But yeah, I always thought
Yeah.
like with like stressful situations or anything like that, just think of it as like kind of like an arcade game, and just once it's over, it's done with.
Well, and it's sad because I even think of, I mean, the amount of homicides that I would be reporting on, and I would sit in a live truck for 4 hours,
Mhm.
like waiting to talk to the police. Like I can't even count the amount. And you just become so desensitized to it. And it's like, yep, just another day. Like I'm eating a sandwich in a car while somebody is dead in front of a house. And it's sad how you just shut those feelings off and it just becomes normal. And it, it's so weird. It's so
Yeah.
weird to like think of those moments in hindsight now, because like now I see that on the news and I'm like, oh my God, this is terrible. But then when I was the anchor, I wasn't thinking, oh my God, this is terrible. I was like, nope, this is my job. This is my script to read. And we are continuing on. It's so strange.
Yeah. So since you like left the whole like news and like the media, do you see it differently now that you saw it like when you were working in there?
Yes and no. I still feel like since I worked in it, I definitely have a peek behind the curtain that most people like don't see. I do believe that there are still good journalists that want to tell a fair and balanced story. I do believe that that's out there, but unfortunately with the companies that you work for, they're the ones that are driving the narrative,
Mm-hmm.
and it I mean, they're the ones that write your paycheck. So at some point, it's like, all right, you're either unemployed or you read this script and you try to rewrite the scripts so that they are balanced. And then last minute, somebody else goes in and changes it. And it's like, man, you just want to tell the facts.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's not what comes out of your mouth at the last possible second.
Yeah, exactly. So, when did Morning Chalk Up come about? Like, I know it was probably like after your contract was over. So, like, how did you get involved with that team?
So it's funny. I actually started writing for them before my TV contract was up.
Okay.
Um, and it's funny because a television contract is basically you're signing your life away in blood. They are very binding contracts. And that's why if you see somebody actually get out of the TV biz and already have another job lined up, honestly, the stars aligned for them, because that normally does not happen
Hmm.
because of just the language in your contracts and the way that they end. That's a different story. But so while I was still in in the TV world, I had reached out to Morning Chalk Up and basically asked if I could start writing for them. Like, hey, my TV contract is coming up in, I was like, between 6 and 8 months. I really don't want to re-sign this contract. I'm looking
Hmm.
to get out permanently. Do you have some kind of work I can do? So I started writing for them part-time. It was CrossFit, so I didn't feel like it was a conflict of interest, but I think if I asked for permission for my TV job, they might have thought otherwise.
Yeah, that's what I
So
was thinking. Yeah.
we just we just didn't talk about it and never crossed paths, so whatever. Um and then I finally, my contract came up in May of 2021. Um, I was still writing for Morning Chalk Up part time, but I was essentially unemployed for about a month and a half
Hmm.
before I then actually started working full time at my affiliate. So I was coaching there, I was doing their social media. really any kind of odd end jobs that could help me collect a paycheck so I
Yep.
could continue to pay my mortgage. And then at some point in time, I started just doing YouTube interviews. And it's so weird because when I had left television, I said, I'm never going on camera again. I'm done with this. I just kind of want to wipe my hands clean of this type of like profession, lifestyle,
Hmm.
etc. And it was one of my coworkers at the time, Patrick Clark. He was the one that was kind of like nagging me, but in like a good friend way, like,
Hmm.
hey, I really think you should do this. I think you're good at this. And I'm just like, Patrick, leave me alone. Like, I don't want to do this. And then finally, after the 100th time that he said, you should do this, I finally was like, okay, whatever. Like, let me interview a couple of athletes. And then, I mean, within 5 minutes of the first interview, I was like, this is what I'm made to do. I
Hmm.
love this. This is great. This is my passion. And then from there, I just kept doing YouTube interviews. I took over the bottom line and tried to be a little bit more creative with it and really expand my Rolodex by going to some of these events and utilizing other members on the team who had already built some relationships. And really from there, I just, it just felt so seamless. Like I felt like I was finally in a job that my passion professionally and
Hmm.
personally was there. It was just a genuine love for what I was doing.
Yeah. And you don't really consider that a job. You just think of it as kind of like it's a hobby.
Right. It's still weird to me that I get paid to make YouTube videos.
Hmm.
Like it's just so strange, especially when I come from this very um cookie cutter local TV news background where now when I try to explain my job to people, like in their mind, they're like, oh, you left TV to make YouTube videos, but they just obviously don't
Yeah,
get it.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Because when you say it like that, it sounds very strange. But it's just, it's so much fun. Like, it doesn't matter that sometimes I don't sleep during event weekends because I'm genuinely loving what I'm doing.
Hmm. Yeah. And obviously it's like YouTube's a little different than like your local media stuff. So did you get like nervous in the first like couple episodes of like, okay, is the stream going okay? Is like all my stuff working? Like what was going on like with the whole setup?
Well, so I guess I didn't realize how often I would call the engineers at the TV station because if you have technical problems, you just pick up the phone, you call the engineer, they come over and they help you within 30 seconds. Now I am my own engineer
Hmm.
and I'm realizing how much I don't know. Like a lot of it is fake it till you make it. Like, is this
Oh,
microphone
of course.
working?
Yeah,
I
of
don't know
course.
if it's
Yeah.
connected to the right thing. Like,
Yeah.
is I've got a couple of different like cameras, like which one is connected, and my Wi-Fi. I've had to upgrade my Wi-Fi connection and then get an Ethernet cable and all of these things that I mean, I never thought that I would have to learn, and you just kind of figure it out as you go. I'm sure you probably know the same thing. It's like
Oh, oh
you
yeah.
do it a
Oh
couple
yeah.
times and then you upgrade the equipment and you figure out what streaming services work and
Yeah. So
you
so
learn.
f- so for me, the first like I think it was like the first 8 months, all I used was my cell phone and two lapel mics.
Yes.
So I
I love
literally
it.
I literally had a lapel mic on me, and then I was using my former like employee's computer, and I did I was using Zoom on that, and literally like
Yeah.
I literally was doing the interview on an ironing board, and I put the lapel mic like clipped it to the ironing board so right at where the speaker was, press record, and the thing was like the app I was using, you only had an hour to record somebody.
Right.
and,
Before it
and
kicks you off.
yeah, and you're like trying to like you're like looking at the time, like it's like you're literally like looking at the your phone being like, oh crap, I got 5 minutes and I have like 10 more questions to ask them. But like yeah,
Yep.
it's so but I started doing that, and then Scott was a huge help from Clydesdale Fitness and
Yeah.
Friends, Clydesdale Media now. I'm like, hey, what do I need to do to like upgrade my stuff? And he's like, get a mixer, and I'm like, okay. And then
Mm.
like I bought a microphone, and then it was just kind of like slowly working my way up, and then for Christmas last year. I got the GoPro 10, so I'm using that as a camera right now. And now I have like all these lights and the blue lights, and it's just like
Right. I love it.
it's a sick hobby. So but it's like you always want to get like the newest gear. You're like, oh, this stuff's so sick. And like
Right,
like a
because
new
then you watch like somebody else's like YouTube or listen to somebody else's podcast and you're like, wow, their voice sounds so crisp. Like what microphone are they using?
Yeah. And it's like, I want to get this like big computer screen and like all these big cameras and like more of like a better
Mhm.
background or like a backdrop or something like that. So it's just like my wheels are always churning every single time. And even like doing like live streams too, because like
Yeah.
I know you guys mainly just do recordings and then post it after. But like I'm always like kind of like interested in maybe doing live streams. But then my problem is
Yeah.
like what happens if like you're lagging or I'm lagging and there's like a huge pause and it's just like I'm always petrified with that because at least like if they're recorded I can edit it and then like just take that part out and then kind of go from there.
Right. Honestly, like a couple of reasons why we do more recordings than going live. One is because we have like a release schedule
Hmm.
and we try to like release them the same time, which I suppose you could do if you did it live.
Yeah.
But also, yeah, I mean, going live doesn't bother me in any way. I mean, I've been going live for the last decade of my life, but it's the technology that
Hmm.
scares me. I can't I can't rely on it. I just can't rely on the streams.
No, and now my Zoom like it won't update, and so now it like sends the folder to like
Mm-hmm.
another area, and I'm trying to update it, and I'm like, I got everything's updated on my computer. Like, what's the deal? Like, what's going on? But it just, I don't know. Like, I'm like leaving Google searching it and stuff like that, and it's just like, forget it. I'll just keep it as is, I guess, and just wait till something happens and I'll fix it.
Right, exactly. Or that we can find a YouTube video that gives us all of the answers that we're looking for.
Yeah, pretty much. So when you do like the podcast, like recordings on YouTube and stuff like that, do you have like certain guests you want on at a certain time, or like how does that work for you guys? Because I know you have like Dex Hopkins on a couple times, and then like you have other people on as well. So how
Mhm.
does that work?
Yeah, so Dex works as a contractor for us now. So he's a more regular guest, I would say.
Hmm.
And then we also have Joey Aducci, who recently came on as one of our like new writers and sports analysts. So I'll utilize them for a lot of like sports specific content.
Yep.
When I'm thinking of different episodes for the bottom line, it really is just I'll come up with the topic and then I'll think of first like a category of what types of voices do we want on this episode? Am I looking for a coach? Am I looking for a manager, an athlete? And then once I narrow it down to like that category,
Hmm.
then I'll basically just start reaching out to connections that I have with people. Or at this point, I have like an idea of guests that do bounce off of each other really well. So I'll try to like pair people up that way. But
Hmm.
honestly, a lot of it just comes down to people's availability.
Yeah, true. Yeah. See, it's same with me when I do the Touch and Go Gang like podcast. It's like, hey,
Yep.
you available this day? Nope. Okay, let's figure another day. So,
Right, right.
and then like there's some people that can't make it on that day, which is like fine. We got like literally four people on at once, so it's just like okay, one person can be like not there. It's perfectly fine.
Right. Honestly, most of my job I would say is just scheduling.
Yeah.
Like that is what takes up the bulk of my day is scheduling.
No, I hear you. So, would you want like some of your hosts that are on the podcast to like kind of push the envelope a little bit, or do you think they're like a little too scared to kind of like maybe ruin somebody's like a relationship with that person that we're talking about?
It kind of depends who the guest is. I know which guests will kind of tout the line of controversy,
Hmm.
so to speak. Um, I would say it's interesting because I've developed like such strong relationships with most of the guests that I have on.
Yep.
And it's like if I'm kind of just shooting the shit and like texting them about something, I get one version of them. And then they come on the show and sometimes they're a little bit more
Yep.
filtered. And in the back of my head, I'm like, come on, why won't you say what you texted me?
You
Like,
were just literally dropping F bombs like 5 minutes ago. What's wrong with you? So,
and by no means am I looking for the show to be this like huge argumentative episode with no solutions. That's like one of my biggest things is if you're going to make an argument for something, I want you to have like a solution or an idea to make the situation better. But I would say people people are a little more filtered once
Yes.
you hit record
Hmm.
than they are when you're just openly chatting with them, which I
Absolutely.
get. This is such like a small space that everybody is really trying to be careful with their brand, their
Hmm.
name, who they associate themselves with, and nobody wants to, step on any toes or burn any bridges because the space is too small to burn bridges.
Yeah.
But sometimes I wish people would, you know, just be a little more fiery.
No, I hear you. I hear you. So, do you? One other question I had that what do you think? What would you like to see in the people that do CrossFit media that nobody else is doing?
What oh, that's well, I think it's interesting because I think there is so much room for expanding the sport
Hmm.
from like the media sense. I mean, I'll give you an example. It would be so easy for CrossFit Media or Media of CrossFit or a different company. I mean, it's basically what I'm doing right now. At events, I shoot, I produce, I edit, I write, I voice, I get everything together of these like 5 to 8 minute recap shows of the whole day. And I'm telling you, they are by no means perfect. They're no means like even 50% of what like my actual vision is. But that's because I'm just one person.
Yeah.
If you had somebody who was dedicated to shooting the event and then somebody who's dedicated to writing the script of like the play by play and like researching stats on athletes and doing like that stuff, and then you have another person who's then editing everything together. Like if you had a whole production team putting together these cool little like highlight reels of days of competition, I mean, this could seriously be ESPN level quality.
Hmm. Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
trying to provide that, but I know it's very, very much short of what like my actual vision of something like that is. And I think that there's also room, like, I love the documentaries that they do of the games every year, but I think that there's such a big opportunity to do more little nuggets of that throughout the year and doing them of these like
Smaller athletes.
yes, like the bubble athletes.
Hmm.
Or I want you to go interview and follow along for the whole year the athletes that just missed qualifying. Start their story as like the heartbreak of semifinals when they didn't qualify, and that's where their story begins, and then follow them throughout the whole year. I think that those could turn into like just it like the emotional like heartstrings that you would feel with the community through stories like that.
Hmm.
Don't get me wrong, we love to hear the Brent Fikowski stories, the Mal O'Brien stories, like the power hitter stories. Of course, those are exciting,
Hmm.
but I think that there's other stories that could be even more relatable to a bigger population.
Hmm. Yeah, I hear you. Because like that, actually, that was great. Because like, I knew there was a guy. His name was Chase Smith. He was like part of the Northeast region for a while. Now he's down in Texas, but
Mhm.
he was like, I think the squat clean like double under and toes to bar workout like back in the I forgot what year it was. I mean, if Tommy Marquez would know this in a heartbeat, but
Oh yeah.
but like he was third overall in the world. And then
Wow.
when he was at the regionals, this is when the ring dips
Oh
workout
yeah.
happened.
When
So
people were blowing
yeah.
their pecs.
So he was right next to Matt Fraser and he blew his pec out like so bad. Like he was out for like the whole year pretty much. And so like now he's trying to get back into CrossFit and kind of make like a legit run at it. And he didn't make it towards like he was at regionals, not regionals. He was at think was where was he at the Syndicate Crown this year, and he didn't like really
Mm.
do that well because like he didn't really have that much experience after like after he pulled his pec out, blew his pec out because he had to go work another job, all that stuff, and kind of hearing that kind of stories would be kind of interesting.
Well, even I think of Emma Carey.
Yeah.
We've heard almost nothing from Emma Carey since she
Hmm.
hurt her back last year. Has anybody been following her? Is anybody doing a little mini doc on her? Like that's what I want to watch. Like
Yeah.
I'm genuinely curious. And I'm excited to see her when she comes back because she was so incredible as a teen. And then even watching her and Mal at Granite Games 2 years ago. Um, yeah, those are like some of the stories that I would really like to see.
Yeah. So do you think the reason why we don't have many of those stories is because people want to kind of hide what's going on and then like kind of realize like kind of wait towards like the games or like a competition then like have something come out?
I think it's a couple of things. I mean, we could sit here and say like all of the wonderful things that we want to see, but it
Yeah.
also you would have to hire probably a bigger staff. There needs to
Hmm.
be bodies to go shoot these things. And I know even from the little travel that I've done so far that traveling to even just like following an athlete and the man hour and time that goes into that, I'm seeing a lot of dollar signs. So I get that it's not just like a quick fix. But I do also think that a little bit of it is on the athletes and how close they want to keep those cards to their chest. It's
Hmm.
so interesting with CrossFit because there's relatively no other sport where athletes can kind of create their own narrative. Like if you go up to Aaron Rodgers and you're like, "Hey, I'm going to shoot this mini doc on you and these are like the media requirements that you have." He'll sign a contract and he knows that that's just like the expectation.
Hmm.
We don't really have that. Like, I think of even when athletes come off of the Florida competition and I stick my camera in their face, they absolutely can say no to me. There is nothing that says that they have to give me an interview. I'm lucky that 9 times out of 10 they do.
Hmm.
But other sports, the players come off of the field and certain ones are brought over to the media and it's just like an expectation. We don't have that. It's kind of like the Hunger Games and it's a free for all. And it's like, it really is. It's this very like strange environment.
Hmm. Yeah, I hear you. Definitely it is a very unique environment, which is pretty cool to see. Maybe in the media space, since there's more and more people coming into the media space that'll actually
Mm.
blow up and then help other people out. I mean, speaking of which, Tudor Magda, like I said, like talked to you earlier, for he's never done a podcast, and I was his first
Yeah,
one.
that's crazy.
Yeah, and it's like I still like pinch myself. I'm like, are you really like this is your first one? Because like people are nervous and stuff like that, and they think they
Hmm.
think they listen to other podcasts and they're like, oh, like this guy, this person's like really intense, and I don't know if I can handle that, and they just or like other people and stuff, and so they're just like,
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna pass. But then like they just need to open up and like they want to get their brand out, and so unfortunately, kind of like podcasting is the one of the only ways to do it, really.
Right. Because we also have to remember that none of these athletes have any type of formal media training.
Nope.
Zero. So they're just as nervous as maybe you and I were when we conducted our first interview.
Yeah.
It's everybody's kind of learning as we go.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So we're getting close to the end, but I was like I said, I was scrolling back on LinkedIn, and you've
We go
been
back to that.
yes, we go back to that. So it's always LinkedIn. That is
Yeah.
actually that is an absolute dumpster fire of a social media platform. But anyway, we'll just leave it as that. But you've been to a couple. You've traveled a lot in college.
Yeah, I was very lucky. I spent one semester abroad
Hmm.
in Namibia, which is all the way south to the west of Africa, right next to South Africa. And I just really took 6 months to just travel. I mean, I took a couple classes here and there and got some college credit, but it was mostly, travel and see the world. And then I took a photography class in India. And then I did a mission trip in El Salvador. So I really like took a lot of good travel opportunities when I was in college. But man, I love to travel. There's something so fascinating to me about going somewhere that you know little to nothing about,
Hmm.
and also like with no one. Like all of those trips, well, besides the photography class, but the other trips, I didn't know anybody that I was traveling with. I kind of just went by myself, and it teaches you to learn about yourself and learn about others
Yep.
and embrace the culture, which is so fun.
Yeah. And you've also gone to a couple places working for Morning Chalk Up too as well. So what has been like some of your favorite places that you've been to since working with them?
Oh man. I it's so funny with all of my travel, I had never been to Europe until this
Okay.
past fall. I went to Madrid for the Madrid CrossFit Championship, and that was a really cool experience. It was booked very, very last minute. So I did not explore as much as I would have liked to.
Hmm.
But most recently, I went to Dubai, and holy cow, you see pictures online, it does not do it justice. You drive down this strip, and I'm telling you, you look up and the architecture, you quite literally feel like you're in some kind of like futuristic movie,
Hmm.
because the architecture is just so unique and like nothing I've ever seen before.
Yeah, I've always seen like the tallest skyscraper, even like with like the F1 championship, F1 like documentary
Yeah.
they had like in Dubai, and it's just like you're looking around, it's like it's insane. Even like Craig Ritchie's like vlog that he does when he went to Dubai and
Yep.
he like videotapes it. It's like, gosh, it's like so insane. It's crazy.
It doesn't even feel real. It's
No,
wild.
no, no. Are you looking to go back there again, or what's the? I know it's not till next year, but
Yeah, I definitely think that it'll be a returning location.
okay, okay. So are you
Yeah.
going to Wadapalooza this year too?
I will. And believe it or not, this will be my first time to Wadapalooza.
Okay.
I'm so pumped. I mean,
I've
no,
I've
I
never
haven't
been.
been to Miami. You've never been? Oh, come on. Book your trip now.
I can't. Well, I don't know if I can do it now. It's a little late, but I've been to Miami and it's
Yeah.
it's expensive. Like just get ready to drop some coin. So
Oh boy. Okay, I'll start saving. Maybe I'll ask for more gift cards for Christmas that I can use in Miami
yeah, I'll send you one. So
for my $20 burrito on the strip.
yeah, pretty much. But like I've always every time I go watch Wadapalooza, it's like I always get FOMO because there's like
Hmm.
so many things you could do there, and it's like all like the athletes are there, and it's mainly like for them just to have fun, and it's not like
Right.
a winning spot to get into the games or anything like that, like back in the day. But it's like it's cool just seeing the teams, and then like the individuals, and then like the adaptive athletes, and then like the you know intermediates and then scaled, like pretty much like anybody can just
Yeah, it's a fitness
do it.
party.
Yeah, which is so cool. And it's like seeing from like its infancy to now, it's insane like how much it blew up.
Yeah, I'm so excited for this one, especially the more people I talk to, people are like, I prefer Wadapalooza to the games. I've heard that from so many people, and I've been to the games since 2017, and
Yeah.
I love the games. I love everything about the games. Maybe not the stress of the games, but
Hmm.
I love the games. So to see something that tops that, I would say maybe because it's in Miami and obviously like on the beach, that will probably elevate it for me. And because it's in January, so I'm
Hmm.
getting away from snow, I think that in itself
Yeah.
is very exciting.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I would love to go down, but it's just right now it's not in the cards. So whatever. It happens. But anyway, so I have some rapid fire questions, but they're really not rapid.
Oh boy.
They're not rapid fire. You could take as long as you want on all these questions. Uh,
Okay.
so obviously like we have like a couple weeks away till 2023. So do you have any goals that you want to get like hit in 2023? It could be either be like personal or business
Hmm.
or like fitness wise.
Oh, I would say fitness wise, I would like to get more consistent
Hmm.
with my training, just with the way that like all of the travel I've been having for work. I've really been struggling with consistency, especially like during those trips. So that's one of my goals, to be really intentional about even just doing a push up, sit up, air squat workout in the hotel if that's what I have to do. I need to
Hmm.
be better about doing some kind of fitness and not just saying holding my camera is my arm workout for the day. So I would say that's my goal for fitness. Um Personally, I would say my goal for like personal stuff is I want to be more intentional about setting specific time for friends and family.
Hmm.
I want to have, whether it's like going to dinner with friends once a month or making like every other Sunday is family time, which like I kind of do now, but sometimes with travel, like that falls through the cracks. So I would say that's kind of my personal goal. My professional goal is I have a couple of ideas in the works that I'm trying to get off the ground right now.
Hmm.
So those are TBD for 2023, but
Okay. All right. That's fine.
always cooking on some things.
Okay. All right. Like that. I like that. Um, so you have a tattoo. So
I
what?
do.
And it's your first one. So what's the reason why you got one, and like what's the meaning of it?
Sure. So I've I've kind of always wanted a tattoo, but when I worked in local TV, it was like very
Oh no.
taboo.
Yeah,
You
you can't do
right.
that.
Unless it's somewhere that nobody will ever see, you just don't do it. And for me, I'm like, I don't know, like getting a tattoo, it feels kind of weird to get it and then nobody sees it.
Hmm.
Like I kind of want it to be somewhere that is a little more forward facing. Um, so yeah, I got it on my arm and it's live deliberately. And I just really believe in having a life of purpose and a life of intention. And I'm not somebody who believes in luck. I don't think that we just wind up in certain circumstances or
Hmm.
in certain like settings. And I really believe that through like living deliberately and through our intentions that we can build a really great life for yourself. So that's what I want to do. I want to be able to look back on my life and know that, you know, I set myself up for the most amount of success that I could possibly do.
Okay, cool. So I have a real quick funny tattoo story. So everyone
Ooh, I
like
love it.
everyone at work, everyone at my old like medical job, ER job, were like they all have tattoos and stuff like that, and they're like, "Oh, do you have a tattoo?" And I don't have any tattoos, and so I'm like, "Yeah, I got two very stupid tattoos." And because the reason why is supposedly you have to get a really stupid tattoo in for your first one, and then then you have no problem getting other ones. And so and so and so I told them, I'm like, yeah, I got one squirrel going up my leg and the other one going down with a nut in its mouth, and it's like right at the underwear line. And so they're like,
Wait, do you really?
no, no, I don't have any of
Oh.
that. And so I'm like, they're like, you don't have that, and I'm like, because like I'm very like outgoing and like all over the place pretty much, and so I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, I have it. I got it like 5 years ago. They're like, pull your pants down and let me see it. I'm like, I'm not gonna show you at the children's hospital. What's wrong with you? And so
Oh
they're like,
my
and
God.
I had like at least five people going saying that I had like two squirrel tattoos on my leg for like at least a month. And like finally I'm like, guess guys, I don't have one. I'm just joking around.
Oh, that's a great joke, especially that they asked you to pull your pants down at a children's hospital.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, go in this room, pull your pants down. I'm like, I'm not doing that. No way. So
Like that sounds like an HR problem.
yes, yes, I cannot do that. Sorry. So the next rapid fire question. So what is your favorite book?
Oh my gosh. Wow. I don't know the last time that I've like thought about this. My favorite book. Yeah, I'm glad this isn't rapid because I'm going to need a minute to think about this.
I told you they weren't going to be rapid.
Okay, I'm trying to think of the last time that I like read a book for like enjoyment that wasn't I mean I do read a lot of like self-help
Hmm.
motivational type books and I do I do like those. One of the more recent ones that I read was The Four Agreements,
Okay.
which that one was pretty good. Um but I did used to read a lot of like romance novels like Jodi Picoult, her books.
I have no idea
Um
who that is, but I know romance books. So,
okay. Just like fun, like you're on the beach, a
hmm.
nice romance novel. Um Also, like the Harry Potter series. That's always got to be a classic for me. I did read the books before I watched the movies when I was very, very young.
Hmm.
Um, The Obstacle is the Way.
Okay.
I
Yep.
really like that one. That is a more recent one. I know that didn't answer the question. I just gave you like three different ones.
Hey, I'll take those. So, real. I always tell this to like some of the guests. Screw It, Just Do It by Richard Branson.
Is that a book?
Yes, it's a real quick book, and it's like I think it's
Screw it,
made.
just do it. I like the
Yeah.
title.
So that book pretty much paved the way to like me start doing the t-shirt company as well as the podcast.
Oh, that's amazing. I love a good inspirational book that gets you going.
Yeah, trust me, it did. Like I read that book and I'm like, screw it, just do it, just go for it. So, because like everyone waits, like we're like everyone thinks it's like a right time to do stuff, and it's just like there's never a
There's
right
never a
time.
right time for
Yeah,
anything.
yeah, just go ahead and do it. Like even with the t-shirts, I was always like, I had the designs out and everything ready to go, and I'm like, okay, should I do it this week or maybe I should start on Monday? And it's like
Right, right.
I
What's
was
with
like, no, just
Mondays?
I don't know. I don't get that. Like me as being a recruiter, everyone I talk to, they're like, I want to start fresh on Monday. And I'm like, but you're not working. Like, why don't you start now? Like literally you could
Right,
start work
right.
tomorrow. Like what's the problem? It's like I want to start fresh. Okay, whatever. But yeah, it's like I don't want to start fresh. I just want to just start with it and just go. So
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna have to look into that one.
yeah, it's a good book. So I got so much stuff I'm going to send you after in the DM. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Perfect.
yeah. So what is in your gym bag?
Ooh, what is in my gym bag? Way too many shoes. We got the shoes. We got the thumb tape. Always have to have thumb tape. The
Mm-hmm.
goat tape, extra sticky. That's always my favorite. Rip it into two,
Mm-hmm.
make it a little bit thinner. Um, we still got a baggie of chalk. Gotta have that. Jump rope, probably a blender bottle, but not a nasty, gross one. I clean
Yep.
my blender bottles immediately into the dishwasher after you shake that with protein.
Mm-hmm.
um, and my headphones.
Okay. All right. Cool. So the next question is going to be a very a deep question. So
Oh boy.
let's just say you kind of already said it with the tattoo part, but let's just say it's your last day on Earth and you have all your friends around you. How do you want people to know you as?
Hmm. I want people to know me as like a good person more than anything. Like somebody that you can trust and who's reliable
Mm-hmm.
and that you can seriously call like a good friend. I feel like we all have so many acquaintances, but if you think about like who are your really good friends that you could call right now to ask for the biggest favor and they would show up.
Mm-hmm.
That's the type of person that I want people to remember me as.
Okay, cool. I like that. It's a really good one. So the last question is, where can people meet up to you if they have any questions with like, podcasting, YouTube, how to get in the media space or anything like that?
Yeah. On Instagram, I would say that's probably the easiest way at Lauren Kalil. Just shoot me a message. I try to respond to every single one of them. I have like serious anxiety when I see like unread messages.
Hmm.
So I'm very quick at responding
Yep, yep.
because I'm like, I must answer this right now because I need to get rid of the notification on my phone.
Awesome. Well, listen, thank you very much for doing this. I really do appreciate you taking the time because, like, obviously you're a very, very bit, very big, very busy person, and
No,
I
thank
was.
you. This was so fun.
Yeah, it was great just getting to know you, and I know I talked a lot during this podcast too, so it's typically supposed to be the other way around, but
Oh my gosh, no, I like the conversation to be mutual. This was a good time for both of us.
awesome. Well, thank you very much for doing this.
Yeah, thank you. It was so fun to catch up.